In Grand Cayman's Georgetown Harbor, in just 35 feet of water where our story takes place, is a marvelous shipwreck known as the Balboa. She was originally owned by a Norwegian shipping company and later sold to J.S. Walker and Son of Kingston, Jamaica. In November of 1932, the Balboa left Florida for Jamaica with a mixed cargo, but she was forced into Grand Cayman by heavy seas and failing engines. On November 9th, hurricane-force winds drove her to the bottom, 200 yards from shore. Her huge 375-foot hulk is scattered over a couple acres of white sand bottom. But the death of the great ship meant new life for a diverse variety of interesting and colorful sea inhabitants. Sponges and corals now cover the twisted wreckage, and the fish are so tame that daytime divers often find themselves playing the Pied Piper, completely surrounded by grouper, curious angelfish, and schools of sergeant majors. But for some divers, the sea takes on a new dimension at night. As soon as all traces of sun has vanished from the Caribbean sky, the creatures that move about by day settle into cracks and crevices of the wreck, and others, the nocturnal animals, begin to stir. It's during these dark hours that some incredible sights are in store for the diver. The only additional equipment a diver needs to visit the shallow wreck at night are underwater lights. And it's always best to become familiar with the wreck during the daytime. A generator-powered 500-watt lighting system, along with a 350-watt Farallon self-contained movie light, are used for photography. For reference point, a smaller light is hung over the side of the boat. In open water, with nothing for a light beam to fall on, disorientation can set in, so it's a welcome sight to make contact with the sea floor, where light is brightly reflected from the sand. Tom Poe and Art Fleming disentangle the light cable before setting out on their search for the night creatures. As the divers move into the wreck, indistinct forms become recognizable shapes. The propeller, that for years has remained poised and lifeless, now becomes an underwater landmark for the nighttime explorers. The vivid colors of sponges and coral, which are subdued by the blue filtering effect of the daytime sea, take on new perspective and brilliance against the backdrop of night. Where Caymanians once labored as sailors is now a subsea garden, almost every square inch of deck plating hosting some form of sea growth. At sunset, with clockwork precision, the basket star, or Gorgon's head as it is sometimes referred to, seeks out an elevated site and unfolds its fan-like arms to form a filtering canopy with the mouth aperture pointing into the current. Plankton are seized by small pointed hooks on the arms, which then roll in towards the mouth where the food is removed. Shortly before sunrise, the canopy folds together and the Gorgon's head creeps back into its refuge. Another shy creature that usually remains hidden during the day is the octopus. The name octopus means eight-footed. The scientific name is a cephalopod, which means feet around the head. The octopus is a member of that group of animals that have the ability to change color and skin texture to match the mood and surroundings it is in. It can flash from a rich reddish color when in a state of rest to an iridescent pale green when cautious or frightened. The speed with which it can change color is comparable to an electric sign. Waves of color in a series of blushes can wash across its skin. Sometimes it is half one color, half another. At night, the octopus emerges and searches the wreck for shellfish, which it cracks open with its powerful jaws, quite similar to a parrot's beak. But contrary to some sea stories, the animal is quite reluctant to use its beak for anything other than feeding. There's an opening in the octopus's head, or mantle as it's called, where the gills are located. And protruding from the mantle opening is a siphon. Together, the siphon and mantle can be used for jet propulsion. With strong muscles, the octopus squeezes the mantle cavity so that the water within is forced out through the siphon. The spurt of the jet action propels it through the water like a rocket. It can also tiptoe along the bottom like a ballet dancer, or slither like an eel. If an octopus loses an arm, a new one may grow to take its place. However, the divers have encountered the same 7-armed octopus for 4 consecutive years now. There's no sign of a new arm about to emerge. And this is what the inside of an octopus looks like as it's trying to unscrew your head from your body. I wonder if she would do the Caribbean disco scene with me. I do all the groundwork, and here's the sneaky barracuda lurking. In the juvenile stage, the hi-hat's dorsal fin is as high as the fish is long. This exotic little tropical belongs to the croaker family, which gets the name from the croaking or drumming sounds that it makes. During spawning season, the croaking sound increases, and there is a variation in sound between night and day. Unlike its closely related 8-armed cousin, the octopus, The squid has 10 arms and is called a decapod. Actually, 2 of the arms are tentacles, which are used for capturing food, mainly fish. Visual acuity of squid is remarkably similar to that of man. Physiologically, the eyes of squid and man are alike in almost every detail. The squid's optic lobes in the brain are largest of all invertebrates. There are about 350 species of squid, ranging in size from an inch to a giant overall length of 60 feet or more. They live in all seas of the world, from the surface to depths of a mile. Like the octopus, squid are able to change color depending on their mood. This is facilitated by the blue, green, brown, red, and yellow pigment sacs that are located just under the animal's skin. The squid has 2 methods of locomotion. Like the octopus, it can take off in a burst of speed using a similar jet action. Maneuverability is excellent because its siphon can be pointed in any direction. Squid also have a horizontal muscular fin, one on each side of the body, which can undulate in both forward and backward directions. The fins are almost transparent and look like rippling waves when in use. Perhaps no other creature is as misunderstood as the moray eel, often thought to be mean and vicious because of its teeth. The moray is really not all that aggressive. There are close to 100 species in this family, the largest of which is the green moray. This particular one, living in the Balboa, is shy and nocturnal and prefers to keep to itself. Depending on the diver you speak with, who's been fortunate enough to catch a glimpse of this fine animal, its length ranges anywhere between 8 to 14 feet. It's a big eel, but realistically, it measures between 6 and 7 feet. The green moray has well-developed muscle structure, and its strong jaws are some of the most powerful of the eel family. To hunt fish at night, the moray uses its well-developed sense of smell and to grip the captured prey. The snake-like creature has a pretty healthy set of dentures. Art Fleming has been trying to coax our friend into the open where it can be photographed in its entirety. But the animal is wary of lights and is cautious about the divers, so it heads for the opposite end of the hollow mast. This time, the moray is a little more determined to make good its escape, but it's still leery about all of the human activity, so the divers back off and patiently wait. Some time ago, the divers discovered that large rainbow parrotfish sleep underneath the wreck. That it was possible to mesmerize these fish by shining a light into their eyes, at which point they could gently hold and pet them. Pat McKenney waits near the entrance, while John enters the close confines of the hull in search of one of these nighttime sleepers. Halfway in, John spots one that has snuggled into a tight corner. Movement is restricted in the narrow quarters, so John must move cautiously. Finally, he's able to get into position where he can begin to pet the fish, only to have it bolt for the nearest opening. Disappointed, John makes his way back through the wreckage to the entrance. When he emerges, he finds that his fish has run smack into Pat's outstretched arms. The parrotfish is a reef grazer and feeds on coral polyps. During the day, it picks its way along the reef, biting off hard chunks of coral with its sharp beak. Its rasp-like teeth grind the coral into fine sand, from which it nourishes itself on the coral animal. The ground-up coral is passed through its digestive system, and divers can often see these fish depositing great sand clouds. Much of the sand of any reef area in the world originates this way. The parrotfish is very shy, and during the day it's extremely difficult to get close to one. At night, the rules are different. However, when handling a fish of this size under these conditions, a diver must be careful, for the parrotfish's beak could easily sever a finger. It is close to midnight now, and the dawn of a new day will be breaking in just a few hours. As the Caribbean sun extends its warming rays into the shallow depths, undersea animals that live by day will emerge and go about their business of hunting and feeding. Tomorrow's daylight divers will witness undersea life that is surely fascinating, but there's something special for those who choose to see it when the rest of the world is asleep.